Ya yo me curé, ya yo me curé, ya yo me curé, ya yo me curé, ya yo me curé,
Peace and blessings. What's going on, my boyka? Welcome, Wahub, and bienvenido. Man, I'm having a good time. Good time. Just got I got kicked out again. You kicked me out, Pharaoh. Stop playing. But that's okay. I'm used to it. I'm used to it. Man, the discussion, I'm used to that discussion. That's part of our nature. Let me tell you, being risen up in Brooklyn under the Ansarullah Multiversity and being at the Young Brothers bait or any other baits, man, you know the discussions that the brothers had, bro? And we all living a culture. That's the beauty of it. We all in jalabias and we're having a discussion on different subjects like the one we was having tonight. It's our nature, bro. It's our nature as a people, bro, to have those discussions. But when we came around the master teacher, there was no discussions like that. I mean, we would have, it was always like he allowed, he looked for the brother who added on what he was saying. Yeah, that's right. Is he can converse, you know what I'm saying? We're all on the same mental and the same mindset. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it is. So yeah, man. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. You know, and it all started again. My brother's podcast, Abu Numa. They're trying to say that this Emperor Hufu is mad because he was kicked out of a podcast. And it's true to my brother. That's me arrogant. So what? I get kicked out of a podcast. You think I care? And I still have my flag that I fly. You know what I'm saying? I'm still also incarnation of a reincarnation of a primordial being in this avatar body, in this physical body. Me too. I come from the stars. As a matter of fact, Baba took me on an astral trip into the stars and showed me the constellations I'm from. I know who I am. I know my purpose on this earth and how we are all in the same wavelength. We're coming together. Eventually, we're going to come together. But we're going to learn. We're going to learn certain things, especially when you deal with commercialism, bro. It's like you want to do all this paperwork and all that, but you have no commodity. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna put people on notice, but they're gonna be, well, who are you? Who are you? Oh, I'm a Yamasi. Oh, you're Yamasi? Where's your tribe at? Where's your land? Where's your tribe? What language do you speak? Where's your glyphs? Where are your artifacts? Where? That's what they're gonna ask. You know what I'm saying? We're living in 2021 with the fourth industrial revolution. There's information out there. We ourselves put our own information out there into the metaverse. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think? It's being exposed. It's being revealed. So you're going to be asked. You know what I'm saying? When you try to say, I am a sovereign. I am navigating in these water as a private person, privately. I put people on notice. But that's you personally. But when you get a tribe of people doing that, You're now you and you're heading into the global venue. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother animal. That's you know what I'm saying? That's another level. And like I said, I know about all this because I am a member of the Confederation of Taino People, and I read a lot of that. There's artifacts. I've seen the other tribes; they have artifacts. You can just read in live science. It just happens that again we need to raise up scientists, archaeologists, and all that. So when they do these projects on Earth, right here on these lands, and they find these mummies, and we know genetically, but are they going to tell us that genetically, when they do this DNA testing on those mummies that they find here in North America, that they can also link it to the genetics of a people that's still in those lands? You see, we can validate ourselves through genetic, forensic, you know what I'm saying? And then when that's done at that level, and then you start saying, hey, listen, we are these people. We want to, who has our artifacts? Who has our gold? Who has our artifacts? You know what I'm saying? Who has our seal? You know, we want it back. We want it back. It belongs on our care because those are honoring against the ancestors, and those are artifacts. That's what let everybody know this is who we are. We've been here. We lived here. We created art here. We created sculptures here. We created plaza here. And so when you do the forensics over there and you look into my DNA, you see that I have those same forensics in DNA. So yeah, I can talk that. You know what I'm saying? We have to be careful, man. We have to be really, really careful. You know, at those venues, that type of industry is for that industry. So if you commercialize yourself, you're dealing with UCC, United Commercial Codes, the Unified Commercial Code, something like that. I'm going to revisit that knowledge about that. I know who I am. I know what I am. I'm who I am. You know what I'm saying? But I need to revisit in order to have these conversations because it just seems like it's coming back up again. We did it before. Same thing. It just reminds me of being at the debate with the brothers and they had this conversation about all type of things. So it's that's our nature to question that which is beyond. You know what I'm saying? And so when someone appears, or suddenly appears in our midst, hey, we want to know. Especially when you start talking things as important and crucial as the freedom of the master teacher. Or when you start talking about a case, a judiciary process that's taking place. So you want to override all that. You have the power to override all of that. So you want to teach it to a people and give them the responsibility of doing that. But yet you use this man's stuff on your website. I kind of have to question all that. You know what I'm saying? Not to be disagreeable, because in whose side? Whose side you on? I don't believe in that disagreeable and agreeable beings. You know why? Because I'm like, disagreeable to who? And agreeable to who? Whose perspective? Mind. Yaye Sae. Sae. That perspective mind. Because we all have it. you know. So, it's a there's great ideas out there, man, for us to further ourselves, especially if for those, because community, that's what happens when our nature, we're docile people, our nature, and we want to interact with each other because we know that we are part of a body. That's what we're being taught. I'm part of all, and all's part of me. So this is how this is our nature. This is what this is our spirituality, our character, personality, is that we always gotta be, well, what's up, bro? Oh yeah, let's hang out, you know what I'm saying? And let's kick some knowledge, you know. You would think they 5%ers. That's part of our nature. We went propagating and we spoke to 5%ers. We spoke to the nation of Islam. We spoke, and we were getting books because the man was like writing those books and says here. So we knew, you know what I'm saying? To educate the masses of people about Nation of Islam, to educate them about 5%, the circle, the Quran, the circle 7 Quran, to educate them on their own Bible, educate them on the Quran. You know what I'm saying? We was getting fed all that. And it enhanced our nature because we're the type of people that like to express ourselves, man. In that party, we're the one that conversation, we get into some heavy conversations. It's our nature. But then when you listen to the conversation well, and the points that are being made, and then you look at it from a view, a overstanding, you get it? Atun perspective, overstanding, and then you're seeing what? Right and left. You're balancing things out. Atun. You're not giving rise to it, atun, to those ideas. Now you take those ideas and it's atun, right? It's atun, and then you balance it. Once you balance that and you get to know what works and what doesn't work, you become a scientist experiment, right? And you know what works and what works. And your ancestors pass knowledge over to you and says, hey, this works, this doesn't work, right? Then as you start living it, right? You start creating your magic. You start living it. Right? That's hika. 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 You start living that. That's wisdom. Knowing what's right and wrong in the history of things. Because you already been through experience. I taught you this. And the wisdom of your ancestors. So when it comes to this type of talk, now we got to go back. You know what I'm saying? Now we have to investigate things. That flag you have out there that got 48 stars, where did that come from? Is that your artifacts? Is that how you tie yourself into? So does that lines up with the Continental Congress that they had before the House of Congress? You balance. You say, okay, that comes prior, and that's where John Hanson Moore was president, and Banneker, and that's when these names appear on this document that goes back. So you start investigating that stuff. Say, so that's the flag that you're flying. Let us know. Are you taking it there? Because we precede that too. We predate that also. You know that. Because you got the Orocos Confederation predated that. So now you got to go into those artifacts and those flags that they flew and those artifacts, because it's all about the flag you're going to fly. The Natiru is represented, Natir, as 3 flags. So there's going to be 3 flags that you're going to have to fly. If you look at a lot of complex and you look at a lot of city states, there's always 3 flags there. There's the United States of America flag, right? Then there is a state flag. Every state has a flag. And then every city has a flag. Federal, city, and state. There's 3 flags that are being flown a lot of times. And if it's a republic, they take that flag and fly the republic flag and United States flag. But then there's a city flag. The city flag, the town flag. In other words, if I was to go to Puerto Rico, Maunabo, they will raise. The Maunabo has a flag. Arroyo has a flag. And that flag's with the Puerto Rican flag. And then the Puerto Rican flag also flies with the American flag in the middle. Those 3 flags. That's nature. Nateru. That's from the Nateru. You know? So it's, you know, you got to look at that aspect of it. Then you got to look at, you know, when somebody makes a claim like, I am the emperor and your master teacher is my visor. That's going to offend a lot of people. Maybe they're not ready for that. That's going to offend people. You know, it's going to offend people that hold this man there. They say, wait a minute, that's our Pharaoh. He taught us he's Amtumre, Arfati, Amtumre. Anyway, he's got a lot of names. I already know about the old man. But in that school of thought, you know, again, great ideas. I don't knock that. Great ideas. But they're just ideas and concept that needs to, if you're looking for help to how to create that magic, to give it that visualization, give it the intent, then that's honorable. You're looking to come to the spiritual community known as the Nuwaubian Sabians, and you want to give them this gift so that we don't have to run problems like this anymore. And who's to say? Because like I said, if the old man comes out, and the master teacher comes out of that situation he's in right now, they're going to always try to get him. Because this is about the money, the market, the commodity. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to corner that whole market. That Sabian market is going to be cornered. So we're going to make those connections to those Yemens, to Ethiopia. We're going to make those connections to Mali. We're going to make those African connections that have the Sabian spirituality. So that's commodity. That's international. Now you're dealing also with marketing, markets. So we'll be able to control our markets. That's power. They're always going to try to come at them. Because it's all about the money. It's all about the commodity. You know what I'm saying? You see, they're trying to switch everything now to Bitcoins, and they're trying to bring in this 4th industrial revolution as to create a new control factor to people. Okay, the hell with it, you got the land. How would you the hell with it that you got the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? The hell with that. Okay? You know what we have? We got the metaverse. We got the NFTs. We got the smart contracts in the digital world. Take that. Just like they did to the natives. Oh, you got the land and everything, but guess what we have? We have the corporation. We have the charter. We can give out charters, corporations. And we're backed up. We built our military. When the Oroquois allowed those five countries to come in and represent themselves in the Confederation, they started bringing in their armies. And then they started even having wars with each other. The French, the blue coat, the red coat, you know what I'm saying? And then the independents, the Americans, the independent. That's what all that is all about. The Polish people had their armies. The Spaniard had their armies. And they say, hey, from here, for Florida up here, you can have everything up there, but this is ours, Florida. We're gonna name this. We're gonna control this. We're gonna control the Caribbean, except for the certain islands that they lost control of. They lost control of Jamaica, but Jamaica, Samaca, used to be a Spanish colony also. Spanish town in Samaca, Jamaica, Samaca. And Haiti just got split because of the French and the Spaniards. But that's not our, as a Haitian, that's not our fight. We are the same people on this island, and we're mixed in with Taino, and we're mixed in with the mulattoes. Those aquiline feature painted ones they call mulattoes that came from Alhambra, Spain. That's in the set the record straight. You got to know this. You have to know this also when you deal with what preceded this corporation. What preceded you know what precedes this corporation? The Catholic Church. The Pope. If you look at a lot of films, I looked at films when I was studying film. I looked at a lot of films from back in days in the 1800s, and you see all the people gathering, and you see the Pope, you see the cardinal. They always had a cardinal, right? And you see him blessing the town, and you see all the people, Catholic was controlling everything. That's the Santa Maria. That's under Christopher Columbus. And then the Moors came in with a Niña. They were the navigators, and they come in and they navigated. Because they knew prior to that, Abu Bakari, the second, Mansa Musa's brother, had did it. Almost 600 ships got to Americas. And they stood. The majority of them stood in America and mixed in with the natives that was already here. What you call your Indian type of Negroes. They mixed in. So some of them started wearing, instead of feathers, started wearing turbans. You know what I'm saying? And they stood with that Moorish, because a lot of those, they spoke Moorish Latin, Hispanic. That's why you have a lot of these colonies that they set in with Spanish names. Or mulatto, or Moorish Latin names, Hispanic names. Mexico was huge. Mexico controlled California. Mexico controlled half of this. And those were those Aztecas. Okay? All through California, those Aztecas. And then after that, the mixture between the Aztecas and those mulattoes. That was representing those Moors. Well, mulattoes, which was a combination from Alhambra, where they were a combination of Malian and Nigerian army, Fulanis and Hausa that went into Spain, built fortresses, university, and eventually wind up marrying, amalgamating children with those Caucasians that were there first, the Visigoths, the Germans, and the French that were there first in camps. But they were in camps, savages, like camps. And when the Millennium War, because remember, they were under the guise of Islam. You had Timbuktu and Mali. You know, you had, and they were making buildings and sidewalk and having intellectual conversations about doctrine like we do now. Just like we do now. Same thing. You know? These conversations. And taught that to the English, to those camps, those German Visigoths, and those ghouls, what they call Gaul, right, from France. Those tribes, the Viking tribes. They mixed in. So Hispanics speak Moorish Latin, right? And that was the original more mulattoes that came in. But after Abu Bakari, because that was African, that was Mali, we're here. But then there was another wave under Christopher Columbus, which was the Catholic Church, the Santa Maria. Then the Niña was the Moors that stood behind in Spain, became complicit. Right? The hierarchy sponsored that ship because you had those ships sponsor the Catholic Church, sponsored the Santa Maria. The Moorish family hierarchy in the Iberian Peninsula, they funded the Niña ship. And then there was another ship that was built, and that one housed the indentured workers, which was the Pinta. And you know Spanish, Pinta means painted. Because they were the mulattoes, children of both Santa Maria and Niña, right? Those mulattoes, they had aquiline features, but they were dark skinned. So they used to tell them they're pintao. So they named it the Pinta, spotted ones. That's why when you go to the island, some brothers got aquiline feature, hazel eyes. They look almost Caucasian, but they dark skinned. Weird like that. And you find that in Jamaica, Jamaica. You find that in the Santo Domingo and even some Haitians too. You find it all over the Caribbean and here in America too. In Florida, St. Augustine, among those, when they came in and started to mix in with Seminole Indians, which was a combination. They call it Seminole because that's cimarron. And what is a cimarron? It's cinnamon color. You know what I'm saying? The golden ones, cinnamon color ones. All through Florida. Because there were families of the Taino. Remember the Taino people from those islands, they also traveled by boat, canoes, all the way up to New Jersey. All through up the East Coast. They traveled. For centuries. You even have the Maya people of Central America, the Maya, also because they were ousted, so they also went to those islands on their way out, into the Atlantic. But in those islands, they did a lot of trade in order to continue on to their journey, because they found Mayan artifacts in Haiti, in Santo Domingo, in Puerto Rico, in Cuba. You find those artifacts. They could trace it back. And then they look at those artifacts, and then if they find any bones, anything, they start doing their DNA, and then now they start putting those pieces together. Because that's truth. They got to put all those pieces together. See, Baba did that intellectual-wise. He was able to put those pieces together because, sometimes when you at a point and you know how to gather, because sound frequency, light, all of that carries information. So the sun is setting out information that is getting from all the other constellations. So we're getting signals. Man, they just have an article on Live Science about the radio signals that's bombarding the earth. And they don't even know where it's coming from. It's coming from the center of the earth, getting radio signals. We pick that up. Those signals. Those are those beings, humanoid beings that live out there. Because how can you think that the earth is the only place that got life when they're finding now of different star systems and planets that could sustain life? And they know this. They're getting information. So a lot of us, when you connect yourself to the source, which is the sun is one, and then that opens up to the constellation. You get information and sound information, sound, correct information. You start getting this because you're able to download this. You know what I'm saying? And when you download this information, that's information you have to stand over. You got to stand to reason that information you're getting. And then it's innate in us. And then we start living our life and start gaining our wisdom. You know what I'm saying? So we all get it. You can't, it's impossible. It's inevitable. You can't deny it that you're getting, because your brain works off of brain waves. So you're getting information from your Wi-Fi. You're getting information for being online with your Wi-Fi, which is a blue light information, and the tones that comes with it. You're getting information. You put on the TV, you listen to music, you're gaining certain information that's entering into your character and personality. You're downloading that information. And the subliminal ones too sips in. So you have to discern that. You see? And they teach a lot of this in the university. I remember taking a class, communication class, and they told us to look at a Pepsi Cola advertisement and see, what do we see? And I saw some creepy stuff up in there. And the professor said, that's right. I'm teaching you what subliminal seduction is all about and how it works in our society. I was wondering why we got to study that, because that's communication, the transcendental self, the part when a person is speaking that you don't see. Only those that are revolved mentally are able to see it. The behind the scene. So we got to look at everything we do. Everything. We got to look at everybody that comes in our midst. We got to look behind the scene. You know what that is? And I dropped something on you with the master teacher one time. We was doing prayer. Oh, excuse me. One time we was doing prayer. And after we was praying, I didn't know that he was in the mosque, because he never used to like to go inside that mosque that was downstairs on 743, I think it was. The first mosque, the Masjid of the Mahdi, because it had the dome just like that they had in Sudan. Well, under to the basement was a pretty small the Qibla, a pretty small mosque that we built. But it was nice, wood, nice for the Qibla. It was nice, but it was small. It was there, you know what I'm saying? You had to go down the stairs, and before you go down the stairs, you made wudu. You had water, your sink, and you made the wudu. Right there, you wash yourself, blah, 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 and then you walk down the stair, little short stairs, and there was the masjid. On the left-hand side was where the imam would make his khutbah. The stairs, and then you had the Qibla, which is direction for us to pray, east. And so he never used to like to go in this masjid later on, because he's saying, hey, they desecrated it, and I don't know who these people are praying to. But I was shocked that I still went there, and I did my, because I just was caught up in that whole, praying, and I was just like, I was finding such a comfort in just hugging myself, when you hold yourself, and a comfort just setting out that there's something greater, Allah's greater. I was just in that mode, you know what I'm saying? That religious spiritual mode. But at the same time, I was very, observant of a lot of things, right? And I was being myself. That's the most important thing you could do, is be yourself. So we prayed, read the Salat. I didn't know that this man was in the ranks. We used to be in ranks. The kids in the front, rank. And then we held each other by the pinky like that at first, right? And we get ourselves in our position to get ready. And then the Adhan, starts calling the brother, takbir, and we did our Salat. didn't know that this man was there. So when we were done, he got up and he started to speak to us. Just like that. We didn't know he was there. All of a sudden he just got to the front. And you know what he told us? He said, dimension. I'm going to explain to you the fourth dimension. We getting ready for some conversations about dimensions. He said the first dimension is your horizontal line. That's your first dimension. Dimension is measurements, horizontal. Your second dimension, what they call 2D, two-dimensional, is the vertical and the horizontal and the vertical. So two-dimensional be a graph, an algebraic graph. When you graph 0, 0 be that point, 0 plus 1 will be to the left side, but still on the x-axis because X and Y, right? Yeah, well, that's algebra. Anyway, those two-dimensional. Then he said, your 3D, it's your in and your out. The inner and the outer. So that's three-dimensional. When you go to a 3D movie, things appears to be moving at you or away from you, right? Then he said, you know what's the fourth dimension? I was like, whoa. The circular motion. Looking behind. The in degrees, 360 degree, you know, go around the circular motion. That circular motion, he says, that's your fourth dimension. So when you're able to look behind things, don't look at it linear, don't look at it vertically, don't look at it dimensionally, 3D, right? You go beyond, transcendent, you look behind that sucker. When you practice that and you visualize that, it does something to the brain. You start looking now, I want to know the backstory. Give me some backstory. Very important. To know behind the scenes, something that's behind the scene. You know what I'm saying? That's your fourth dimension. Anyway, and the reason why I went with that, just to share a little something that we all got privy to at that time, and you know what I'm saying? Oh, wait a minute. Peace, hold on a second. The Mandela Fat, peace, but Baneta Sutton, yes. Thank you, my sister. Peace and blessing to you. Yeah, the Mandela Effect. When was this? Okay, yeah. They're able to go back and rewrite certain things in the and it's all done in the metaverse because they mimicking everything in the brain and they creating a metaverse. You know, the verses of verses. They're creating AI. This is some alien stuff. They're able to go back in time and shift things around. Oh, Benita. Oh, Benita. I call you Baneta. Benita. Okay, Benita. I'm sorry. So yeah, they go back and they shift the information that's being caught up in that megaverse. They shift that information around so they block certain things. So yeah, people, they could take the Mandela situation of him being in jail and everything, but they can rewrite all of that. That becomes now missing information within that, you know, the journalism or that world, you know, the metaverse, the data collection. They put a glitch in the data collection. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Benita decided to come on live, you know, just to, I don't get it all out, release. I know I got kicked out. I'm going to drive this shit home. Yeah, I got kicked out. I'm telling you. Because I didn't want to, for one, you know, I was a little agitated because it was like where I was coming from is like, listen, we have to do more research. This man just appeared, but now brothers saying no, he's been around since the 90s, but I haven't heard him. I was in the. His name never come up in the lodge. His name never came up in AO. You know what I'm saying? His name never came out in some venues and some schools of thought that I was involved in 2009. I didn't leave nowhere. I was an Ansar, and I went a route that I was in my neighborhood, but I was still, the people that knew me knew I was an Ansar. They have conversation with me. So there's a lot of knowledge that I share with people in my neighborhood, in the streets of New York, in the Bronx, Boogie Down Bronx. And then when I went out as a musician, same thing. And when I was writing for a rap group, I was kicking in knowledge in there, mentioning the doc, you know, the old man, mentioning that stuff in the rap. They do that now. Killer Priest does that now. We was doing that back then in the 80s. We was always around. It was just we just expanded. You know what I'm saying? And then I would always come visit in Bushwick, but my heart was broken when I seen the way things was going in Bushwick. It broke my heart. Maybe it wasn't meant for me to see that, so I can retain the memory that I had in there that was beautiful, beautiful growing up in that environment. Well, again, with my brothers, that's why I do this, because conversation with my brothers, we used to have these conversations. I had these conversations when I was 17, 16 years old. Even with my friends in junior high school and in high school, we had these conversations, these ciphers, because it's our nature. And the man amplified that. He showed us that this is who we are. And now I'm learning with them brothers that that's the Sabaean way. Because you're scientists. You know, that's the Ansar way. Question things. You know, so we do. You know? So when I apply that to that conversation about this emperor, I think that I offended a few brothers. I don't think they expected that. I think they found a little offensive. And then later on, when other brothers came in and said the same thing I said it, but they said it in a more relaxed way, I was a little kind of like agitated, I'm telling you. But I'm hot-headed. Abi used to always tell me, but son, you're so hot-headed. Everybody that knows me, Sabi, even from the Ansar day, I was a hothead. It's just the way I was. Like, you know, Baba loved it. He didn't care. He knew it. He loved it. It didn't bother him. And I used to push him to the side. I'm hanging out over here. I don't want to hang out. But our brother be running. As soon as he came out of the bait, forget it. They wanted to come around him. I was like, sit on the side. I didn't want to come around that man. No. I wanted them to leave him alone so he could enjoy himself. I didn't do it. I didn't even ask him that much questions. No. I expressed myself or how I feel a lot around him, and he enjoyed it. We kicked it like that. And then we played basketball and roller skate. That's what we did. I would make a special juice for him. But you know, I think I kind of like it was a little unexpected. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that. I was a little kind of getting a little agitated because my age, man, I'm going to be 60 years old. I get sometimes agitated. You know what I'm saying? So I did take some weed, some weed herbs and also a weed too. I have to, you know what I'm saying? Nah, I'll be agitated all day. You know what I'm saying? I need to mellow out. You know what I'm saying? And so I was a little agitated. But and I think it just shocked a lot of brothers. They just don't stand to reason like that. You know what I'm saying? And then I did do the chant on my own. I got kicked out before the chant. I got kicked out. I didn't leave. I got kicked out. And then I chanted. I did the chant by myself right here. You know, just chant. my tones that I'm used to. And I did it. And then I didn't want to come back or something told me, nah. But I listened on the conversation. I was on the chat. And I listened in on the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And then I heard this. And then that's the thought that came to my mind. I says, wow, man. The way these brothers were going back and forth. That's how we used to do it in the Ansar days. That's our nature. But we can't let people manipulate that. You know what I'm saying? When they bring in these ideas and concepts, we have to check those ideas and concepts. Because you know that we're going to have conversations. They know this. Agents even know this. Let me get online. Let me drop some stuff. Let me get this conversation going and see where people are at. That's some agent shit. I'm not saying anybody's an agent. I don't know. I don't point a finger at nobody. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I have to come up with real receipts in order for that. But I don't point the finger because there's one pointing at somebody, there's three pointing at you. So you calling yourself an agent? No, I don't do that. Forget about that. All I'm saying is that we have a particular nature of who we are. And now we're introducing a conversation that we had way back in a school that our master teacher took us through. But now we got to go back to the tapes, the videotapes. Why did he do what he did? And why did he have to lay back from that? And why he wrote to a brother a letter that I saw that says, this is the reason why they came at me, because I wrote that Constitution. And I wrote to set the record straight. So they know that I'm heading in that direction, that I'm looking how to tie myself back to this land. Not Sudan. He did that with the Ansar, with Sayyid Sadiq, and look what happened. But he's tying us back to this land. But in order to do that, he's got to look for the artifacts. He got to look for the ancient location where the mountains are, right? Then he has to gain those artifacts to say, this is who we are. This is us. This is the artifacts. And then he created the museum that he wanted to put these artifacts in there and grab artifacts from Sudan and from Egypt and bring them over here to say, hey, we also this here. This is who we are. Every nation has this. So all of that stuff was destroyed because I'm telling you, he had a lot of artifacts, right, that solidified our nation, and it was in the storage. Abi Yahya told me it was in the storage, and there was a leak in there, and a lot of it got destroyed. Destroyed. We can't even build our own museum and put those artifacts like they do also with those artists. Like take a Dr. York dress and put it up on for everybody to display to say this is part of our who we are in this school of thought. Well, all those costumes that you call costumes, all those all that was destroyed. They let that be destroyed in a storage. And Abi Yahya told me there was a picture there because he connected with Sudan to the Sunusi people, and he married his mate, and he had children that are from Sunusi tribe, and that was a very prominent tribe, and they're in Sudan, the family Sunusi. And he said he had the picture and the document, all that documentation, and he tried to save that. I don't know what happened to it now, but these are in the temple in the administration over there in Brooklyn. That temple should have held all those artifacts. All those artifacts should be there to identify who we are as a people. But we don't have it no more. Because I'm telling you, some weirdos out here. We don't have it no more because they allow that stuff to be destroyed. They didn't think about that because they didn't have the right morals and ethics. That's why I'm here, to dish this out so we can learn from our mistakes. You know? We need to learn from our mistakes. First of all, we need to learn morals and ethics. It's not just by reading a book, like 33 Commandments to the Wife. It's not just by reading a book. It's much more than that. You got to live it. And then you got to solidify that. And you got to say, well, how am I being honest every day with my brother, my Zamal, my Zamatet? How am I being honest with my tribe? How am I being honorable with my tribe and truthful and tolerant of our differences? We got to be tolerant of our differences. And then those morals become protocols in our Constitution also. So we have it. And then the seal comes on. But that seal has to be a seal, an emblem that we're able to trace back. There's a seal. I see you later, sister. Going to bed. I know. I can't play right now, but next time I promise that I will play for you the drums. Yeah. How much and when can you get it to me? I need some spiritual drum music. Oh, drum music. Yeah, we could pull some stuff up from YouTube. I'll send it to you. You know what I'm saying? Get those African drumming going on. Get that rhythm going. Yeah, man. Don't get me started. It's late. My grandson is it birthday already? It's 12:22. Happy birthday, Diaro. He's 13. It's a teenager. I got a newly teenager right here. But anyway, getting back to the conversation. We have to learn from our mistakes. And that's all I wanted to bring to the conversation, that I still have to do more research on this brother. I can't allow him to put me in a ship. Well, I'm on land, put me on a ship, and where are you gonna navigate me to? You know what I'm saying? I gotta be careful of that. Is it a political agenda? I have to be very, very careful of that. You know what I'm saying? What receipts do you have? And you know what? He does have the flag behind him, the 48 star flag. So I got to see where that goes to. I got to see the significance of that, because it's all in the flag. I see that the other flag has an emblem that was, I think, created part by the school of Christianity. Karas. Yeah, they used that symbol like the crown. And then he said that was a craft. That was a Nibiru, a craft. You know what I'm saying? So they made that crown. So it's a craft. That's why he started talking, he started speaking about, Nibiru and talking about where he come from and this and this and that. And yeah, I know. We all do. That's that craft that right now that's hovering over us. But we have to be careful. You know what I'm saying? Not to be careful. We just got to be aware, man. Because when we're aware and we see this awareness and it expands, then it can help that person out. You know what I'm saying? Brother, you got a great idea. Let's go forward. You say you got this, you got that and that. Okay. We're with you. But knowing that our main concern, our main objective, subjective, our main concern is to get free this man. And even if you believe this man is free, we still got to free that avatar, that paper, that straw man, if you will, call it, that fictitious person they got up there. We got to free that also. We can't keep that locked away, but then he can't do certain things he needs to do navigating on the land, because they got that tied up over there. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So brothers that are able to do this, able to get that their status correct, they call status correction, but all that stuff is not gonna work if you're not nation building. And in order to you do nation building and have all the other, you have to identify yourself. And if you're gonna claim to be an ancient tribe, right? then you have to identify yourself and you have to bring receipts. You got to bring me some artifacts, some ancient artifacts. Or if they do the DNA on you, but you have to use your scientists because they can twist that around. You know that, right? You know, certain things that they can miss on the DNA sequences that they don't want you to know. You know what I'm saying? So you got to come either the scientific data or you got to come to the historical data. We need to see artifacts. Artifacts. You know what I'm saying? If that flag is an artifact that you have and you flying with 48 stars, then we need to investigate to see if this artifact is authentic. How far does it take us back? How far does it take us? 1876? 1850 something? Well, we predate all of that. Because treaties are meant to be broken. That's what the Europeans say. They don't go for treaty. They'll smile in your face, but all the time they want to take your place. Backstabbers. Backstabbers. They smile in your face, but all the time they want to take your place. Backstabbers. Backstabbers. They get it? They smile in your face, but all the time they want to take your place. Backstab. Backstabbers. That's our nature. What else can I say? We got to learn from our mistakes. If the master teacher set forth a template for us, then we can keep using the template, but don't run ahead of him. And remember, we need him out so he can complete his mission the way he wants to be complete. They have him sitting back. If he's locked up, they got him sitting back in the jail, giving still information to us and bringing us into a new school, which is really an old school coming to new, Wooow Sabat. Now we're talking Wooow and Wooow Sabat. Now we're talking that talk. Now we're in there. And yeah, it's a spiritual community, but at the same time, that spiritual community have to be identified in the physical. And it's yet to be known whether the Yamasi holds the key. It could be part of the key. It could be that one flag, but then there's got to be another flag and another. 3 flags. Let's fly those 3 flags as a Neteru. Let's fly those 3 flags that we need. Baba gave us a clue. He gave us different flags. So we have to build our embassy and fly those flags. I'm yet to see this amongst the Yamasi. I don't know. Educate me on this. Where's your lodge? Where's your physical building? Your lodge? And you got your 3 flags. You're flying your flag up there and you got your emblem up there. Just like I can go any country in the world and see that. Cities and towns, I see that. I walk around North Carolina. Right here in my complex, they got a flag that says South Oaks Crossing. They got a flag of the North Carolina flag, and then they got the American flag. 3 flags. Because they know the power that holds. They're a corporation. South Oaks Crossing is a corporation who's allowed to do business under that other flag, which is North Carolina flag. Charlotte, North Carolina. And then you got the American flag that always fly, the federal, always over everybody. Because that's how they put it. But when we got our 3 flags, we fly our flag. We don't need to fly. I don't know. Maybe we fly the original American flag because he's trying to, that was our time. Our time period was there. And we established a lot. But where are the artifacts?
Oh, yeah. No, not.
Where are the Benjamin Banneker artifacts? On all those other delegates and men that held these offices during that continental time where that came morphed out of the Iroquois Empire. Where are those flags? Where's all those artifacts? That's important. That's very important. It's either stolen, it's hidden. National treasure. They did a whole movie on that. What's that dude, the actor name? You know what I'm saying? The national treasure. Look at those movies. I don't like movies for information like that, but I think it's much more than that. But you can always read the backstory and behind the line and research certain things and get to know what is an illusion and what is reality. You know? So, didn't mean, I was a little agitated, and I listened to what this emperor said, and certain things didn't strike me well, because remember, we were always not, and I understand what he's saying, that the chief, our pharaoh, our chief, he vacated that seat for a certain year because he was locked up. So now he's got to come in place. So he's putting himself as the emperor overhead. And now, what is he saying? Under the Yamasee Creeks, that we are to come under your banner, Yamasee Creek, and that you are the emperor, not the man, Malachi York, or Black Chief Black Thunderbird, Black Eagle. He's not the chief anymore. But that's not going to fit well with a lot of people, because that's Yanan speaks to that body. Unless he want to choose another body to speak with. But then you got to prove yourself, bro. You got to come with the most high information. And you don't have you didn't squeeze out that most high information. That was squeezed out by Yanan from the cosmos. Not you. You're regurgitating everything because he taught you. He taught you well. He taught us all well. But he's has pointed us in that direction, right? Because he's able to squeeze out the most knowledge out of the multiverse. And then give it to you. And then use what's on the planet to enhance it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not your nature, so it's going to be enhanced. It's going to be out there in bits and pieces. So all you got to do is reform it, put it back together, renew it, reform it, and then renew it. You know what I'm saying? That's magic. That's an art. So it's yet to be discussed. Yeah, it's a very heavy conversation. I mean, now you got to go into this whole commercial laws and this and that and sovereignty right and private citizen. Now you're gonna get all this conversations coming up in amongst our family. So who's dropping this? When we already had those conversations way back. So who's dropping this conversation to us? Where's it coming from? You know? In the international arena, they're no longer having conversation like that. You know what they're discussing? The fourth industrial revolution. Look at the World Health Organization, which is a United Nations organization, right? They rolled out genetic engineering of the vaccine. I say vaccine, okay? I don't want to get trapped. Right? And then you have the World Economic Forum is rolling out initiative that it deals with the fourth industrial revolution and how that's going to affect all the countries and nations. You know that? Just go to the World Economic Forum. It's about ecology. It's about economics, right? Commercial. Go on that site and see what initiative and plan agendas they have for all these nations on the earth. Yamasee is not mentioned. I don't know. It's not mentioned on there. It's not mentioned. So you're a state within a state. You're a state within an empire. That you calling yourself your own separate empire. If you call yourself your own separate empires as a military, nations have a national guards. That comes from building a nation, national guards. Empires have military might. You know? So it's a very touchy thing. Unless your military might are the stars, your military might are the forces of nature. I'm not discarding anything. Because I've heard of Taino chiefs and Taino shamans that had the ability to call a swarm of bees to do work for them. Bees. We learned that also in the Quran. The Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had sinjil, right? Birds that threw rock. The power of those forces. You know, we stir up storms, hurricanes that comes out of Africa all the time in the Atlantic Ocean. The power that's there. So that the brother did allude to that he has the power to do a lot of things on another level also. Magic level. I don't discard that. That's shaman stuff, man. I've met brothers that have certain powers. They can make things manifest. You know what I'm saying? But are we there? Are we harnessing those powers? Do we know that magic, that natural nature magic in order to do those things? I know I do. Yeah, believe it or not, I do. There's times that it's stormy, raining out there and I need to go somewhere. I command that rain stop, and you know what? It stops. And then I go take care of my business. Always. My family can tell you, they bug out. Always. You know? You have to make that connection. Are we at that point? Are we ready to do that as a collective? Could be done, you know? But that's power. It's power. So maybe part of that is having this conversation as to, again, I'm coming in because I'm telling you, we had these conversations back in the Ansar days. So I'm coming in just, I want to enhance that a little more because we had those conversations, and brother, you know, we used to have these conversations about the powers and the stories and this and that and you know, in Sudan and Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi and Hadra Ali and the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Hadra Ali, he was once as a noble. You know what I'm saying? Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi, Khalifa to Rasulullah. You know what I'm saying? The Khalifa to Rasulullah, which is Muhammad. We had those conversations. So sovereignty was in that. We was an embassy. We had the Prime Minister of Sudan come to see us 3 times and send teachers and send money and send artifacts from Sudan. You know, the masjid that was built from wood that was from Lebanon. I don't know, some special wood from Lebanon or something like that. Lebanon. The wood that was used to create the chuppah, where they hold the chuppah, and the upper stairs. They had stairs, and the imam would climb up there, and depending on the level where he's at, he'll stand on those levels. That over there in the temple in Bush Street was imported wood, Lebanon wood, the best of the best wood. That right there could be an artifact because that's part of our history, the school of thought that we came through. So we hold that. When we build our building, we hold that as a piece and saying that, yeah, We come from those schools. This is who we are. The staff, there was an artifact that had to change their hands from Bilal to the Prophet Muhammad. That was an artifact. Those the prophets held that. That was the Israelite acknowledging the Ishmaelite and sending the prophet the staff. You know what I'm saying? And Baba had a staff with the two that represents Melchizedek, which is the junction of the two Niles, and he's got his thumb on that. Those are artifacts. Those are the artifacts that they lost in that storage. Well, I don't know if anybody took that and got it on their living, whatever, but those are our artifacts. As a people, we need to solidify that. So we want to know, the Yamasi Creek, do you have, do we have to bring our artifacts to tell you who we are? And do we have to build our own, on your land that you have, and build a museum? Or what they call a Department of Antiquity? Antiquity? I mean, Department of Antiquity holds all of that in there. That's nation building. But I'm telling you, weirdos. Tibetan monks said these people are not from here. Weirdos out there, and they fumble all that. But now we have to go back, learn by the mistake, and collect and pick up those pieces, man. Pick up those pieces. Pick up them pieces, man. Important. I have an artifact here, something here that I want to pass on to my children, my great-grandchildren, on and on and on. You see that staff? I got a staff over there. Pass it on to them. This is a relic. It belongs in the family. This is a relic. I want that right there with one of my pictures as an answer. There, that's my ancestral shrine to your guys. I got to teach y'all how to do that, because that's honoring your ancestors. I got a picture of my grandfather here. And then I put the Bible, because he was a Bible thumper. My grandfather was a Bible thumper. He was a reverend. Bible thumper. But I think one of my uncles have some of his hats. We were giving certain articles to keep. I lost mine because, again, storage, I lost it. But I think my uncle got a couple of his hats, and that he could pass it on. We have to learn how to do that. We have to set legacies. Because when we do that, we set the legacies, it changes our brain, and then we start operating in that frame of mind. And the more of us that does it, we collectively, right? Then we start gaining this mind tool. And we start setting steps for the future. So when the next Warner comes in 100 years, he's able to come back, and he knows exactly where he got to take us to. Now, you got to collect everything all over again. Our master teacher came 100 years after Muhammad Ahmad, and he picked up from there. He brought the Sudan to the West under the guide of a lot of other brothers that did it before him. Ahmed and Malik, the bass player, and a lot of other brothers was bringing that East Sudan to the West. And he brought that spirituality, Sufism. He brought that Sabahism, that Sufism, and Yananism, all of that. Whatever name you want to use, he brought that because that's part of our nature. That's what's being a sun child, one of the star child. You know what I'm saying? It's part of it. Part of it. So, I was a little hurt at first, but then I said, man, you know what? It just reminds me back in the days that we always had these conversations and blah, blah, back and forth and this and this and that. And of course, people are not going to understand where you're coming from. And then maybe later on they'll say, oh, man, I see I get what you was talking about. People are not going to always agree with you, and that's fine. I got, no one, what am I? Even the master teacher, people disagree with the master teacher. That's how you got a lot of ex-members. They disagree with his method. They disagree with his method. You know what I'm saying? They're just not for it. They call it pseudo, this, that. You know, they just don't, and it's okay. I let them brothers know that that's what you choose to do. That's you. You gotta live with that. Not me. Don't try to convince me no different. I got my own mind. I think the way I want to think, just like that's what you'll tell me. You know what I'm saying? So because of the way I think, I attract those that think like me, and we're gonna get together. We're gonna roll the way we need to roll. And if you're not in that, you're not in that. Okay? And you don't have to agree all the time. I don't care. I'm taking to those Chuck Norris, Cuban Cry, all these disgruntled members out there that want to speak all that shit. Let them speak. Hey, as long as you don't do anything detrimental to our family, then you good. You good, my brother. But once you go online, you start talking that shit, we're gonna come back at you because we're gonna have that conversation. That's how we build. You know? We agree to disagree. There we go. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't care who you are. I'm not here to argue. If you want to get into arguments, then we'll agree to have an argument and bring talking points back and forth. But we do that in a civil manner, right? And we're gonna get to that point. But arguments, it's part of our nature. You gotta work on that. Oh yeah, I'm guilty, and brothers can tell you too, and SARS, and those baits. Oh man, some heated arguments, heated ones. You know what I'm saying? Baba wanted to record a lot of those and put it on the intercom, the radios. We had our own radio station. You know what I'm saying? So one time, a brother had an idea to form like a panel on the radio, on the TV station. We had our own TV station, and he had cameras and lights and all that, and we had chairs, and we were discussing about peddling, and then Baba dropped and says, "We're not peddlers. Just study Sarato Ma'un." And prior to that, he was teaching me Sarato Ma'un, the degree of the bow. And when I got something wrong, he'll hit me on the side with a stick. Get it right, man. Come on. That's a relationship that we had like that. You know, come on, get it right. Who's the boy? You know what I'm saying? I want you to learn that surah. I want you to master that surah. And I mastered that Sarato Ikhlas. I could break that down to the letter, to the tone itself. Sarato Kafirun, Sarato Nas, and Sarato Falak, which are the two surahs that breaks bad magical spells. Because that's how those two surahs, which was embedded in the heart, that it started with Kul Huwallahu Ahad was one of them for the fourth chambers of the heart. You had Kul Kalbi, right? Kul Huwallahu Ahad. And you had Kul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun. And then you had Kul A'udhu Birabbin Nas and Kul A'udhu Birabbil Falak. The Nas and Falak was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when they did, witches did some magical spell and twisted the knot and cast a spell on Muhammad, the Mahdi, the Prophet, and he got sick. And that's when that was revealed to him. Put this in your heart. This is going to protect you. This is going to protect you. This is going to loosen up those knots. It's going to protect you. So what do you think? A master teacher don't have that protection? It does. You know that? You can just utter certain words, a certain incantation and shift all that. That doesn't bother him at all. That these people did a coffin and put him, all that stuff, mumbo jumbo, bro. Come on, we already learned that we can combat all that. It's all in the intention. Intent is all in the intent. That's magic. You can break those vocalizations with your own vocalization. They can come here chanting Latin and you can chant them Sabian chant right back. And then, oh, you got your own chant? Yeah. I have my protection. my tones, which is my protection. So you think that bothers them? Man, that's a whole lot of bullshit talk. Every time they mention about that witchcraft stuff, man, I'm going to look at it like, hey, man, forget about that shit. Because even through the school of Islam, even through Christianity or the Hebrew school, we learn how to combat that. We had our talents. We learned how to combat all that shit. What do you think? Well, so what Baba was teaching was fault? And he can't do it for himself? You know what I'm saying? No. No. He knows what's going on. You know? That's what I'm sensing. I'm using my sense, my transcendental sense. I'm going beyond. I'm sensing that he knows what's going on. You know? And he's just... They come to the time that I guess he's excited because it's all the suddenly it's all it's the fourth industrial revolution, this 5G, this internet of things, this conversation has been internetized. That's a new one. Internetize this conversation. And I'm not gonna get caught up in it, but I'm just having fun. And like I'm saying, it just reminds me back in the days, in real time with the brothers, and we had conversations. The brother Remasu could tell you they had a big conversation about whether he was right in doing what he did, go to a roller skating ring when we should supposed to be propagating, and the sisters are getting mad because they can't go nowhere. They're behind the gates. So here you are sneaking out there and doing roller skating. The sisters got mad. So they had conversations and certain baits about this shit. Because the sisters were getting on their mate and they would come back like, yo, this brother did this, brother dad, he was on TV, blah, blah, blah. That it was starting to spread to all the baits that the master teacher had to call us under the tent, and we had to air it out under the tent. And that's when he came out and says, that brother ain't going nowhere. And that's when he says, you know what? We're going to create a roller skating rink right here. And the cement, and we're going to roller skate right here. And we're going to put music and roll the rock the road. You know what I'm saying? And we're roller skating and playing hockey on roller skates. And all because it's his brother. Those conversations. So there was many conversations that we had, depending, Now today, this conversation is interesting because again, it popped up. So now we have to revisit those lessons. And there's brothers I hear that are speaking like they know those lessons, but they're coming from a Moorish paradigm. They say, no, but you're using the word Amora, Moorish, Muruish. That's what I see. Do I need to pull it up and show you the site? So it's not the same one as the mulattoes and the Moorish, the French equivalent of Moro? Moreno, Moro? So that's what you're telling me? But this is, if that's your way of tying back with the Spanish under the Moorish rule, Iberian Peninsula, if you're tying back to the Iberian Peninsula, right? And Mali, where all those ones that were considered by the Latin people Moros. Esos Moros, esos Morenos, esos Moros, y lo mulato was half more Moros, African, and half either French or Spaniard. So if you're trying to tie yourself back to that, because those treaties predate 1871 or 1776. Those were the Spanish conquistadors, those are Spanish mulattoes conquistadors more that were on this land later on. But there's one that predates that, and that's with Abu Bakari. So you got to look at his flag. What flag did the Mali Navy fly when they crossed those waters that they were doing for centuries? What flag did they fly? What flag did Mansa Musa fly when he started to take his caravan, right, through Africa with all that gold? What flag did he fly? It's like a football game. You know what I'm saying? Your football team flies a flag, comes in with flag. What flag? You had pirates that were flying that black flag, you know that, with the skull and the skull and the bone. That's a pirate flag. They had to fly that flag. And sometimes they used to camouflage. They used to bring that flag down and fly a Spanish flag so the other Spanish vessels will recognize them. And then once they got really close, that they can get busy, they lower that flag and pull up the pirate flag. That's a movie shit, right? You know? So we got to look at the flag. Those 48 stars, we got to look at the flag, where it's coming from, how is it flying, what does it represent, you know what I'm saying? And then at that time period that it represents, then we got to look at them artifacts. If you got treaties, you got to have treaties on hemp paper, because back then, that's what they were using to document, ledgerly, document stuff. If there was a constitution that was written back then in 1776, it was hemp paper. Maybe in 1871, I don't know if the other paper came into existence and they just, you know, all I know now with the technology later, because of Hertz, you know what I'm saying, got rid of the hemp paper and product that the paper was made of, and they called the tree paper, because he invested in all this lumber and didn't know what to do with it. And then the idea of the company, just convert this into paper. Instead of making hemp paper, we're making this paper so I can print my newspaper, news on this paper, and spread that out. Hence, the Hertz publication. And then they venture onto the news venue when TV came and all that. Well, you gotta follow all that. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, if you're gonna come with an artifact, it better be on some hemp paper. Like the original Constitution written in this country was on hemp paper. And they have that sitting in one of their museums in the Department of Antiquities. They got that sitting there. And you can go and you can see it. You know? So all of this is important. And those are questions that I have, because because Bob already established a lot of things, and then he wanted to purchase a lot of these artifacts. So how far have you taken it? Or all you giving us is just paperwork? All you giving us is just decree and your seal, your government, which you are the head of the Yamasee Creek? Is that what you're saying? That's fine. But you got to show receipts. Because we can't learn, we learn from our past mistakes, man. Look what we went through with Dusel York. And all that paperwork that he did over here. And he claimed that he got the Muskogee tribe, their land, and he was responsible for all them people getting their land back, and this and this and that. Yeah, he was saying that at one time, and he was in charge of the Nuwapian Embassy, and he was doing all these studies and books. Buying all this very expensive book, because those are the very expensive books that talk about how to establish city-state. So all that information he took with him where? Where's all that information at? Where's it sitting at? That library that he was collecting these books for Baba, collecting these books. Baba always had a library also, of books. That's our libraries. You know, that's our artifacts. Timbuktu is like that. A lot of tribes needed to go on record. They needed to find out stuff about their tribe. They went into Timbuktu. Alexandria had a big department like that. in Timbuktu. What do you think they do in some of these libraries? They hold artifacts in there. The very high end, book collections. You know what I'm saying? A lot of legacies, a lot of houses do this. You know what I'm saying? So Baba want to set that up because it will hold our artifacts in there and our books and everything. You got brothers who does that, collect a lot of Baba's books. Samuel got 2 crates. There's their books. That could be your library. You know what I'm saying? You know, that could be artifacts for the future. Man, his brother tripped me out because he showed me this bag that I gave him, a really nice bag. I gave him back in 1983. And then he had all the books. That's how he transferred all his books. He had a Baba on that bag, big bag. And then finally he took it out of his closet and says, look, I still got that bag. I was like, damn, that's a badass bag. How you? He said, it's like an artifact. That's his connection to me, right? And what we were studying at that time in those books, and he has it in those books. King Tut, when they went into his what they call enclosure, in the enclosure, the funeral enclosure where the sarcophagus was there, his grave, right? When they went in that, they seen a lot of artifacts. It established who was King Tut. The gold that was in there, the chariot, the beds, all of that stuff. They found a lot of gold in there that I'm sure they must have robbed, but they found a lot of worth. Now that display, when they take that to the museum of New York over there, or wherever they tour around the world, that display is worth a lot of bank. Dinero, dinero, dinero. And that's an artifact that they're carrying around with them. So you can forget about that one. But our story, again, we got to learn from our mistakes, man. We made a lot of mistakes. We lost a lot of important things, a lot of important artifacts. That's coming from Abiyaya. May he rest in peace. He was one of the nobles. I don't know. I haven't had this discussion with Samuel, and I will. You know what I'm saying? If you know anything about that storage, I had all that stuff in there, and these people let it destroy this stuff. And there was some important pictures in there and very, you know what I'm saying? That we could have put it again in display. In display. To let people know, yeah, man, we collect artifacts. You know what I'm saying? We want to validate yourself like that. Every nation does that. Every nation does that. That's our nature. You know what I'm saying? That's our nature. Or hold something from your ancestors. Or hold something from somebody that's very influential. I had a picture of that I treasure so much with that actor, Steven Seagal. And you see it sometimes. I posted. I downloaded it. Steven Seagal, and that's his signature and stuff. And I liked that Steven Seagal and the way he fought at that time. And he was fighting, and he visited me, and we started playing percussion, congas. He liked to play congas. He was a guitar player, but he liked to play congas too. We sat there and we started playing congas. And he was trying to challenge me, but he couldn't challenge me on that. Like the master teacher can't challenge me on that. But he recognizes it. And then he'll give you things that he learned, and you're like, yo, I like that. I like that. You know what I'm saying? That's neat. So you treasure things. I had signed autographs, pictures with the Backstreet Boys because I worked with them. So I had a personal, memory and artifact that they gave me. That's what autographs are all about, I'm sure there's people out there that got to autograph of their favorite artists, and then that's an artifact for them. It validates something, your experience. You know, get what I'm saying? It validates your experience. Every nation does that. So my question would be, well, is it feasible? Can you show us the artifact? Can you show us how we can connect with the Yamasee Creek? Where are those artifacts at? You know what I'm saying? So we can protect it, or do we need to go out there and grab some artifacts to build a museum for the Yamasee Creek? You know what I'm saying? Get a building and put those artifacts in there and say, yo, this is us, and put a seal on it. Bang. Do you need that? Or do you have that already? I don't know. You gotta let me know. You gotta let me know. All I did was the Morals and Ethics Appropriation Committee is in every nation has one. Every nation has one. And there's a couple of elders sit together and we discuss. We have a sessions and we're going to discuss certain issues. And I think we need to have a discussion about this because we see this happening. You know what I'm saying? Is this going to be beneficial for us, or is this going to be another one of those tactics to keep us away from the truth, from the real focus? Keep us away from the real focus of liberating this man. You know? Liberating that fictitious, that character. Liberation. You know? So we need to research that. Because if you're gonna claim to be in this and it's a good idea, and you're gonna claim to be an emperor and everything, and you're gonna claim to have a government and all this, well, you already had gone through the process of solidifying yourself. You know what I'm saying? Not getting their permission or anything, but natural nature validates you. I don't need no paperwork. Only if I'm dealing with commercial issues, then if I'm in their game, I'm their chess game, I'm gonna play by their chess rules. But I'm gonna learn the shit out of that to get an advantage. But remember, if he created those laws and those rules, he's got an upper hand on you because he's the creator. He'll pull something on you that you never saw before. So it's a matter of just knowing, of having certain things in place. We have a template, we have a place. If you're gonna claim to be this and this and that, you're gonna have to show receipts. Because if not, like I said, I don't know, you could just be another brother that wants to take an organization and wants to, make money off an organization because they gotta pay you for a membership to get that paper done, almost $2,700. I've seen it on the website. I'm like, what is this? And now I gotta pay $500. It used to be $500, $1,700. Money, notes from this corporation. A company within this corporation, the Federal Reserve, those notes are what you asking me to give you in exchange for you to take me off, to give me my sovereignty or give me that state. If I'm going to invest my money in this and gain certain things, that's cool. Like I invest my money in whole life insurance. So now in 10 years from now, I know I got some money coming in. If I need it, I can get into that pool. But before the 10 years, something happened to me, I know my family can at least have something to get them to another level. You know what I'm saying? They're not caught out there. So I'm going to invest my money in this. I want documentation. I want to say certification. You know what I'm saying? I want to see receipts. Is this beneficial for us all? If this is the road you think that the master teacher told you to take us to come get them, come get them, come get me out, come get me out. Use the powers that you have of knowing how to navigate your ship through these waters and come get me out. That's the talk. The man wants, whoever can get him out, come get him out. Come get me out. You know what I'm saying? So we all have bits and pieces of puzzles. And so we got to work together in unity. We got to become one mind. and work together and say, okay, you got this angle, you got this angle, you got this angle. How can we put it all together? How can we put this all together? We could stand on a body of sovereigns, a government that can give a notice to the judiciary system that, for one, your own protocol, morals and ethic protocol, was violated. So that you can take one of our people and bury him in your system and put him under a rock. What gave you that right? Okay? You can argue like that. What gave that judge? So I want to focus on that judge who shouldn't have any involvement in that case. That's another angle. Habeas corpus. Brother writing it. Oh, I don't know if it's going to work. I'll let you know if it works or if it doesn't work. But that's coming also from a political mindset. Because you're filing papers. And when you file papers, they got to do the paperwork. They got to put their seal on it. They got to take it in to the records. You know what I'm saying? They got to put it on record. You know, put their stamp on it. Then they got to have a judge, a lawyer, a judge look at it. You're giving me this document. I have to look at this. And if I decide to say this is bullshit and just throw it to the side, I don't want to deal with that. Bang. But if you let the world know, and you let those young lawyers, those people that want to come into this judicial system, off the bat, you're gonna let them know, hey, listen, careful. This is a corrupted system, a very corrupted system. You're gonna get caught up. Very corrupted. If you don't honor, if the people that you're dealing with are not honoring the morals and ethics of the Judiciary Council, those protocols, those canons that were set in place. Because if you don't honor that and you violate all that, then what kind of industry you involved in, man? What's up with the judiciary branch? The executive branch, forget it. But your judicial branch and your legislative branch, you see, put the notice out there to all of them. So they can look at it and say, oh man, the executive could look at the judicial system and say, yo, you need to correct this. There's something going on. Why? Because you're setting precedents, and then there's a lot of criminals that's going to go out free, slip through the cracks, or there's a lot of people that's going to be coming at us, and if they able to win a case, money's going to have to be paid. And we don't want to get to that. You got to think like a judge. Think like a judge. You know what I'm saying? It's all about commerce, right? So that judge is looking at this case with a QSIP number. He's looking at this case with a filing docket QSIP number. So he's doing now the balancement. I know all about how the court system works. The ledger, backwards. They're in court. Remember, what do you do in the court? You go back and forth, right? Same thing. They go back and forth, and it's put in the ledger. Your Honor, can you put into the records this and this and that motion, this charge? You're charging somebody now. So now this person's got to be put into a situation where now his QSIP, Social Security number, and all that it belongs to that market. So now they're making money off of that. In the U.S. stock exchange, they're making money off of that, because that's being bartered all over the earth. On the international level, trade. That's how they're able to bring their companies, right? Their government, their companies, they're able to come into this country, like a lot of Chinese company, all that, because they own those rights. They own stock in it. You know, at one time, Radio City Music Hall in Rockefeller Center, the Mitsubishi family owned 51% of Rockefeller Center. Rockefeller family leased 51% to the Japanese. That's some heavy commerce. And they say, oh, that conversation is mute. We got nothing to do with that. It affects you in many ways because you see, that's letting you know the chessboard and how they're playing their game. So now you have knowledge. Hey, this is how you'll play your game in commerce. Well, I got to get to know it, right? I got to get to know that. And if I choose not to get to know it and just stay on my spiritual path, it's okay. That's okay, because no matter what, if you're a good spiritual person, you're going to wind up in a good spiritual community, and that good spiritual community, they're going to be those that think on that level, and then they can school you or they can help you get to that level. Don't worry about it. Strengthen your character and personality first. That's the spirituality. And then those ideas that you get and the concepts, now you start funneling to your feelings, and you start creating habits every day to create your paradigm that is aligned with those ideas and thoughts. So that's what I'm looking for in this brother. Are you just coming to us in an idealistic and conceptive way, perspective? But what practicality are taking place in when you come to nation building in all those aspects? What's your structuring of government? Oh, I systemize it, so I have structure. Okay. But then you told me that certain brothers that I seen their name on your structure don't want nothing to do with the master teacher. How many of them chiefs? And let me tell you something, they didn't turn their back on Black Thunderbird. They turned their back on the people around him. Because they thought just like the Tibetan. These people are not spiritual. This man doesn't, because he told us a lot of times. He even told us about the ants. I should have been sent to the ants. You ever read that one? I should have been sent to the ants. And he one time told me too also, he says, man, I should have been sent to some other people, maybe to Puerto Rico, Cuba. I should have been sent somewhere else, not here. Because these people, I don't know. And brothers and sisters, don't get mad at me. This is coming from him. Don't get mad at me. You know what? Prove me wrong. Correct it. Correct yourself. Check yourself. Here. Check yourself. Check it. Ow! Check yourself. To see. Administration. Check yourself. Cause the cat is out the bag. Ow! Keep messing around. You know? Oh, things are working on behind the scene. We're working on something already behind the scene. We just can't tell you. But then don't ask me for no fucking money. Don't ask me to support you. I want to know my investment, because if I'm gonna invest, like I do option on paper trading, I'm gonna invest in a company. I go and I research that company. I get to want to know who runs this company, what's going on. If this man is a sound mind, what's going on with this company? I'm investing in it. You know what I'm saying? Am I investing in my children? I want to know, I'm not gonna invest this money. I want to know where your head is at. I'm gonna invest this money for you to go to college, for you to do what? You know what I'm saying? I want to know where my investment is going to. You know, you should sit down with your children. Man, I invested all my freaking life with the Pampers and this and this and that. I want to know what I invested in. So what you gonna do, nigga? How you gonna live? Huh? Ow! Get with it. I want to know. I'm investing my time. So a lot of people think like that. I invested time. I invested time in the master teacher, and I got much more than I can ever ask for. You hear me? I invested a lot of my youth time into that Ansar Allah Multiversity and being around the master teacher, and I got so much more to this day. Unexhaustible. Energy. Because we were tapping on to that. So man, I used to get a check from the Census Department because before I went in the community, I was working with the Census Department getting checks, and it was back by 2 weeks. And when I got that money, I turned that shit into the book room. I took it some for me, of course, but hey, I supported a lot of them young children. It wasn't all by food stamps. It was by us selling books also, you know. And that land, when he purchased that land, yeah, it was done by that money. Okay, that we accumulated. That the man was a treasure. He told us a true king is a treasurer. The king is the treasurer. The real treasurer is the king. You know what I'm saying? Or he has a great treasurer and a secretary that's able to keep those records, those books. And the treasurer is the bank. That's the bank. Baba was a bank with his mate. Forgot the sister named Zaneda. Zaneba, I think she handled the money. That department. That the sister came out, Habib was saying that she was in that money department, the department that handled the funds coming in from the books, from the Dr. Yo, from on different avenue streams of income. We were spoiled. Let me tell you, we were spoiled. We really didn't need to propagate. That's the reason why he stopped us from propagating. We really didn't need to propagate because we were beyond riches that man had for us. Work that those brothers in the beginning put in, and work that I put in 79. We put in work. We put in a lot of work. We were able to get to a point that we don't need it to propagate anymore because people are going to run and look for us because of those books and that knowledge. We're spoiled. That's our commodity. You get it? That's a commodity that we had. We were building on a commodity. And that was our knowledge. A sound right reason. Our knowledge, those books. That's a commodity. And then he took us into ancient Egypt. He says, we're in the culture, you need a commodity. Let's corner the Egyptian market. Once we corner the Egyptian market, he says, and we start speaking the Egyptian languages, because when a Chinese speaks Chinese, a Chinaman speaks Chinese, and he has a market, Chinese food, Buddha, all this, the dress, the kung fu, the martial art, he has a market that he cornered. Japanese is the same thing. Italians is the same. They're the markets. And we wanted us to the market ancient Kemet or go pre-dynastic. That market. And now this Wu Sabat, which all lines up with the Nile Valley. That's our commodity. We got to build on that, right? But we got to go back and get those artifacts to let people know. These are artifacts. We are these people, our ancestors. And we need those artifacts back, y'all. So I'm looking for that with the Yamasi Creek Indians. You know? You got to show us the art of the date, and it don't lie. The dates don't lie. We had a big, ancient Egypt had a monument, the Sphinx. Man, yo, you can see that from miles away. That's an artifact, bro. That right there, and they say that it has a hole around the ear. Another level, you can enter a chamber underneath the right ear. You also on the paw. Underneath the paw, you have another chamber. You got certain chambers in there that held records. And other smaller artifacts. You know the Kaaba, before they went in there, and all those idols that they had was from different tribes as you go there, and they were holding the artifacts in there. Until these Muslims came in, and they're the one that destroyed those artifacts. You know, Ankh-Tan did the same thing with those that were of the Amun family, worship, Amun-Ra, because they had all their different artifacts. Each family had a particular artifact that represents that family, the ancestry, right? Antantang did away with all that. He wanted an obelisk, you know what I'm saying, to be erected. He wanted Antan. That was it. Move away from those, you know what I'm saying, those ancestral worship. That was the first instant of that. That was one of the first occurrence of that. Well, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Almost 2 hours. I can go on and on and on, and I appreciate y'all, those that were watching, and listen, man. I don't know. I feel funny now trying to get back on that podcast. I have discussions, but I hope the brother sees this and understand this, and I understand, brother. You know what I'm saying? I understand because I have been in situations like that in debate back in the days and having discussion with certain brothers. And we all used to gang on this one brother, Sabdu Sami. Yeah, he thought he knew it all with all those discussions we had and everything with that one brother. You know what I'm saying? We would test each other out because he always wanted to test us. We would test each other out. We have this discussion. And then he got so mad that he was like, all right, man, I ain't dealing with you, bro. Forget about it. Don't even come my way, bro. I'm not dealing with you. Stay over there in that room. You know what I'm saying? Don't come over here. And we would be the same thing. Yo, stay over there. If that's how you want to think, that's how you want to think. If that's the case, I don't mind. I can do that. I can do that. You ain't gonna miss me, and I ain't gonna miss you, right? My heart aches because, my Sabian brothers, and I want to make sure that I'm there, and that it's beneficial for me to share. But if you feel that my attitudes, my being hot-headed, and my way of thinking, or maybe by the way I look, if you think this is all by the way I speak, if you think this is all intimidating, then you have to deal with that problem, not me. Not me, because I'm just being myself. One person is not more Sabian, Nuwapian Sabian than the next person. No. That's not Ashuk. Ashuk. That's not Ashuk. Right? That's not Musar, Yasar, Musir. That's not sticky. Or maybe you don't want to stick yourself to me. Maybe because I mentioned the Confederation of Taino people. And I'm from the Caribbean. And I have Iberian Peninsula bloodline, lineage, mulattoes, and I also have Haitian bloodline, Mali, African, through Haiti, through Mali. Maybe you're offended by that. I don't know. I don't know. For you to make a comment, and this is out to the brother, make a comment about 6 ether forces and this and that, brother, come on. All you got to do is take the 6 and turn it upside down and it becomes a 9. Come on, that's number play with me. Fuck all that. You know what I'm saying? You need disagreeable and agreeable. You need 6 ether, 9 ether. You need all of that to exist. 9 ether becomes 6 ether. Death. Your hair starts turning white. You born in a 6 ether into 9 ether. No kid is born with a, come on, if you're looking at hair texture, or even if you're looking at complexions. Child come out blue-black, or on the lighter chalky. You know what I'm saying? It's coming from the waters. What happens when you submerge something in water? It changes a little bit after a long period of time. Right? But the iron, the blood, you know what I'm saying? Give it that conductivity so it can harness more of that sun gene. But we all have that because that's the only way your cells can be protected. We all have melanin. It's the only way that cells are going to be protected. We all can harness the power of That son, Reye, Raye, Raye. We all can harness that power. We just, anyway, peace and blessing to you all. I'm leaving it right there. And hey, like I said, I might feel a little funny going on there. Maybe, I don't think the brothers want me back there, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm a little high-headed. Maybe I think I know it so much and whatever. And I don't mean to be like that, man. I'm also willing to sit down and learn. I learn a lot of things. So sometimes I might just view the podcast, especially if you got those two brothers, E King and Asada on there, because those brothers really build. I like how they build and where their head is at. I like that. And my brother Pharaoh is a good brother. I can see where you coming from because I've been around brothers before. Be kicking it like a 5%er sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I've been around brothers like that. That's a gift of gap. We all have that. We all have that, the humorous and the gift of gap. You know what I'm saying? Our master teacher had it. That's our nature. So I understand where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? And it's your platform, and that's cool, and I'm going to honor that. You know what I'm saying? And I just hope that when I'm able to appear on it, that I'm going to give you, I'm just going to share some of myself. My expansion, my heart, my appreciation for my brothers and sisters. I appreciate you all, man. I really do. I appreciate. Because I know I have been with this man. I know this man. I've been with this man and his first disciples and the elder. I've been around these guys, these men. And I had great experiences with the master teacher. And I see that you know what I'm saying? And it's an honor to see, wow, man, this brother read the books and believe everything this man said, and he never met the man. Not too far. I'm talking about other young brothers. And I'm like, wow. To me, that's phenomenal. That's reaching beyond. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just I'm gonna feel a little funny. You know what I'm saying? But it's okay. Maybe I'll get over them feelings. The hell with it. And then me, I'll put on my Knicks hat. I'll put on my New York swag. I'll put on my Ansar swag. And bro, I don't care. I don't care. Anyway, peace and blessing to y'all. I'm out. Let me play this one more time again. So I'm working on my shit. Big.
Ya yo me curé, ya yo me curé. Ya yo me curé, ya yo me curé. Ya yo me curé. Ya yo me curé. Y me despojaron.